English. A lot of people fear this subject, but hey, I don't want you to fear it. I want you to love it like I do. So in this video, I'm going to teach you how to start your English preparation from zero. A word about sponsorships before we begin. So many big YouTube channels are out there that are promoting products and test series, and they are earning a lot of money out of it. I know which channels you're thinking about, and yes, they are earning money from these things. Now, these companies have also reached out to me, but for me, the most important thing is that, of course, I should be earning money from it, but it's also very important that whatever I promote, it should be something that is new, that is very dynamic. It is something that should add value to your life, and it should be beneficial to you. It should be something that I myself would buy. Otherwise, I would never go ahead and recommend that. And of course, it's okay to earn money, but you should also disclose this fact. In many countries, it is actually a crime to not disclose these things. But in India, everything goes. Sab kuch chalta hai. So why am I telling all of these things to you? It's not good for me, right? Yes, but still I want to educate you, and I also want to teach you to think critically about these things. And always, before you buy anything, make sure that you test out their free materials first, and if you like it, only then go ahead and part with your hard-earned money and buy those things. So with that out of the way, let's start. Guidely has launched an express video course with over 1200 mock tests, hundreds of videos, live classes, PDFs, and a secret Telegram group where you can clear all your doubts, and the best faculty in India teaching this course, and at just ₹1499 you get a lifetime validity. And the best thing, if you get selected in any exam, you get a full refund. Join now and get an additional 10% discount by using the promo code Shupriyo. Join my Telegram channel to stay connected with important PDFs, links, and other information regarding bank exam preparation. And if you like this video, please click on the like button and share it with your friends so that everybody can get access to this information. And if you are new here, my mission is to empower you with the tools you need to get success in all kinds of competitive examinations. So if you want to join me in this journey, please click on the subscribe button, and also do not forget to click the bell icon so that you, my friend, do not miss any future update. Let us begin with this video. Hi, this is Shupriyo. There is no shame in being weak in English. It is a foreign language. It is not a language with which we have been growing up. So it's completely okay if you do not know it very well. But of course, for every bank exam, this English language, it plays a very important role. And even this English language, the knowledge of it is correlated with a lot of success later on in life. So it is very, very important. And in this video, you are going to learn how you can start off your English preparation. And even if you know a lot about English, you will be getting a lot of value out of this video. So before we begin, the first thing that we have to think about is, what are our main goals? What is my main objective? You do not need to become a Shakespeare. You do not need to become a legendary speaker like Shashi Tharoor. That's not important at all in this English preparation. However, you need to get the minimum amount of marks for clearing your cutoffs. So the first thing we can ask ourselves is, from which aspect should you start? So what is the first thing that you should be starting with? Take a guess. Well, the answer is that you should start with vocabulary. Yes, you should be knowing all the words. There is a very interesting scientific study that actually it was done on language practice and learning languages. They have found on average that if you know only 3,000 words in a language, you can master 98% of that language. Can you believe this? 98% of your English skills depend upon your mastery over 3,000 words. Just imagine if you could learn all those words, if you could learn how to connect them using grammar, then English would have become so much simple for you. So the most important thing is, first you need to know your vocabulary. That is the very basic kind of thing. The second thing that you need is grammar. So I want you to think of a bread. So for example, if you have a piece of bread, a loaf of bread, if you can eat that directly, right? But that bread, it will only give you carbs. That bread should have a filling. It should have cheese, it should have some kind of salad, etc., etc. So if we are thinking about grammar, grammar is the filling in that bread. So the loaf of bread is the vocabulary, and the filling inside is the grammar. So grammar, if you know, and the vocabulary, then you can piece them together and you can enjoy a delicious meal of English. So this is the crux of everything that we are going to study. So always remember that when you are reading any language, not just English, you need to master 4 things. So what are those 4 things? Reading, writing, hearing and speaking. So ensure that when you are practicing your English, and I have actually made a timetable, so you might have seen my timetable video already. There I have told you how you can divide your days and how you can allocate time for English. So in the English specific days, make sure that you are doing 4 of these things, and ideally if you are weak in English, then try and do these 4 things every single day. So reading, where can you read from? You can read various things. You can read the newspaper, you can read from apps, you can go ahead and read Wikipedia, you can read so many things, and of course you can go ahead and do it online or wherever you want, offline as well, magazines, etc. Everything you can read. So reading is the first thing that you should be doing. Then practice writing. Now how can you practice writing? Usually the advice that I give to students is that you should be reading some editorials or some small paragraphs and making a summary yourself. So if you have read a large paragraph and if you have summarized it yourself, then the writing practice comes very naturally to you. And of course there's going to be a lot of grammatical errors initially when you start, but later on this will be all ironed out. So don't worry at all about evaluation. Many people, they ask me like, how can I get my descriptive writings, my writings evaluated? But that's not important at all. Most important is that every day you write. With practice, what happens is naturally your brain, the synapses of the brain, it will connect the dots. So very important that you keep writing each and every day. And of course hearing, this is the easiest thing to do. You can do it on YouTube like you are doing it now, and you can also go ahead and check out some other channels where they are conversing only in English, and you can also go ahead and see the TV and many other kinds of things so that you can hear that language being spoken. And finally speaking. So speaking, this is the most difficult thing to actually practice because you need a partner ideally. If you do not have a partner, what you can do is you can practice in front of a mirror. Just stand there for 5 minutes, just say something and then say the answers back. So I know this can feel a little bit awkward starting off, but trust me, when you go ahead and do this for a long period of time, your speech, it will have a lot of clarity. And sure, we can have further sessions on how to improve speaking. So as we go ahead, if you like this session, then please like it and let me know that you want more of these English sessions so we can get in depth into those things. So what is our destination now? So we know where we have to start. So what's our destination now? Our destination, of course, is career success. That's what we are doing it for. We are learning English to succeed in our careers. So always have an idea in your mind that you have to ace interviews. Yes, this is your final destination, an interview. Why am I saying this? In clerical exams, in assistant exams, you don't have interviews, right? Of course you don't. But do you forever want to remain as a clerical cadre person, or do you forever want to remain as an assistant? You want to go up the ranks, right? You want to get promoted, and for promotions you have to sit in exams, you have to talk with people, you have to go for interviews. So your final destination should be that I will have that much of English power that I can ace any interview. So try and think about these things in your head, that what am I doing it for? I am going to get better in this language, but where am I going to use it? What's my final destination? It's an interview. I have to get my ideas out there into the world. And if you master this, if you can speak very clearly, then I can assure you that the world will listen to you. And so let us move to the first section. So the first thing is the vocabulary. So what is our objective with the vocabulary? As I told you, it's the first thing that you should be focusing on. So vocabulary and idioms, these are the two things that will be there in almost every examination. Now I've talked about idioms earlier as well, and even in my SBI videos I have talked a little bit about that, and the recent clerical exam video that I did, there also I talked a little bit about that. So if you want some list of idioms, let me know in the comments and I'll arrange something. So you have to start with your vocabulary and expand to idioms. So idioms, they use the words in a way which is not normally used in a vocabulary. So if you use the idioms and the vocab together, then your mind can connect the dots and you can understand where these kinds of words can actually be used. So what's the best app that you can use for practicing vocabulary? Now I used to have dictionary.com and various other dictionary apps in my mobile mobile, but right now with Google having such a great translate feature, and Google Translate is quite good, and also you can find any word meaning on Google very easily. So I don't think those apps are very necessary. So you can do one thing. There is one great app which is the Volt vocabulary app. So let's take a look at this app. So this is the Volt vocabulary app, and as you can see in the interface, you can learn from memory keys, you can learn by GIFs, from videos, and you can also revise the words. So if you learn from memory key, this is how they show you the format. They'll show you a picture and the meaning of that, and also a memory key which will help you understand the word and how to remember it, and also synonyms, antonyms. They have every single thing over here. So you can just swipe and you can find a lot of different words that you can go ahead and you can just note if you don't know the meanings of them. So it's quite easy to read, and you can just skip through the words very fast. Another interesting thing is at the top right you can find a star. So if you click on that star, so this is actually bookmarked. So this star, it allows you to bookmark your words which you are not familiar with. So anything you can do, you can just bookmark. So that's how it works. And so if you go back now, you can go ahead and revise the word. So if you want to revise, so the saved bookmarks is what I want to show you. So see, you can go ahead and you can revise your words over here. So you can just check a hint, and then you can just try and remember it, and it will be a very easy thing to do to actually revise all of these things. So you can just swipe through and you can revise easily. Now go back to this, and you can also see that there is a learn by GIF. So if you go over there, then a GIF will appear, and you can easily learn any word that you want through a kind of a small video that plays, so you can understand much better. Now let's go to learn by video as well. So if you go ahead, there are various videos over here. So those videos, they will actually allow you to learn by video if you want. So there are a lot of different functionalities, and I really love this app for building my vocabulary. And as I told you, like, there is also a test, and you can go ahead and take the test. So there's a random test, there is a fill in the blanks as well, and the meanings as well, synonyms, antonyms also. So if you go to fill in the blanks, you will be finding that there are lots of lessons. So you can go ahead and you can take any test. So if you open the test, you will have a lot of just questions, and once you have scored some marks, some minimum marks in each test, you can unlock the next test. It can go ahead and you can start any kind of quizzes that you want. So there is a lot of things that are in this app, and it will really help you to boost your vocabulary. So go ahead and download it, and happy learning your vocabulary. So I hope that you find that app useful, and there's another very fun way to practice vocabs, and this actually involves Google's help. So how can you use Google to practice your vocabulary? Let's find out. Go to Google and type out Google Word Quiz. Once you type this out, you'll find something called the vocabulary quiz Google. Click on that. So it will actually open up the vocabulary quiz of Google. So Google itself, using some advanced AI, has created this tool which will really help you to get strong in your vocabulary. So okay, once it appears, you see the vocabulary quiz over here. There's a normal mode and there is a hard mode. Now I will warn you that the hard mode is like really hard. So go ahead with the normal mode first. So once you open that up, you will be presented with a few questions. So you can just go through and you can just get the answers, the right answers. So I'll just speed through this section. So okay, we have finally found out the answers and we have got to the end. So this is what it shows. It shows your score, how many you got correct, and even the high score as well. So you can just go ahead and change your difficulty level and you can play again if you want. You can also easily review your questions. So this is the screen that allows you to review everything. So that is also quite handy if you want to just review whatever you have just seen. So you can just like, or you can even report some questions if you want. So sometimes you can just do it in your downtime. You can just play this game, you can change the difficulty level, and it's quite good actually. It's really good for some great practice, and go for the hard one if you want a real challenge. And there's something else also that you can do. you can search for Google Word Coach. So remember that this will only work in the mobile and not on the PC or desktop. So basically what happens is it opens up this small box called a Word Coach. So you can learn new words over here. So it's quite nifty actually. And the best thing is that it's actually quite short. So you don't need to spend a lot of time to actually solve these questions. Just a few questions will be thrown to you. So you are just going to be thrown 5 questions, and once you can just go ahead and solve these questions. So 5 I have just solved, so you can get your score, and then you can get the explanations for the words which you have missed and the words which you got right. So you can just see the explanations, and it's actually quite nifty and it's quite handy because you can go to the next round, and when you go to the next round you'll find that it's going to be leveling up. So this is what they are going to show you if you are just getting a perfect score like me. So you can level up, you can click on continue, and you can keep doing this, and you can use Google very effectively to actually get trained in your vocabulary. So I hope that this will also help you and actually allow you to get a new source of vocabulary practice. So I hope that you will be using these tools that I showed you in the proper manner, and you will be getting a lot of vocabulary practice. Now, how do you make a vocab journal? This is the next step, because all these apps, all these things that I have just showed you, they are useless unless you are noting down whatever you are learning. It's very, very important that you note down the new words. So how should you make the vocabulary journal? The vocab journal, you have to allocate a diary towards this, and what you will be doing in the first page, you will be just writing down the date, and you are going to be writing down the words that you have learned. So only the words you are going to write down on that page. Remember, you are not writing the meaning on that page. Take a different page, maybe at the middle of the diary. So there you can again write the date and number it, and then you write the meanings of those words in that page. So do not have the words and the meanings on the same page. Now why is this? This is because when you are revising, you are going to see only those words, and then you are going to think whether you remember the meanings of those words. If you have forgotten it, only then you turn the page and then you find out the meanings. Otherwise you can just go ahead and you can easily review that. So this is the policy that I follow, and I have found it to be very, very useful to actually revise and also to recollect very tough sounding words. Another very, very important thing is the richness and the variety of what you are reading. Now many people will just be going for the Hindu editorial. Trust me folks, that is not enough. You are not going to get a lot of value by reading only that, because earlier in previous years they used to ask questions from the Hindu. Now they ask questions from excerpts of The Economist. They might ask you from Bloomberg, they might ask you from the New York Times. So reading top international journals, top international newspapers, you will have to read. Try and get hold of those apps. If you can pay for them, go and pay for them. If you cannot, there are lots of ways in which you do not have to just go ahead into the normal subscription. You can get it for free. In my channel also you'll find some videos, one video actually which actually talks about this. I'm not going to link it over here, but I am sure if you are smart enough you can find it. So try and practice from The Economist, try and practice from Bloomberg, those top quality international journals. Try and read the articles that have been written in The Atlantic. Try to read some Medium articles. There are very, very good writers who are writing over there. Your brain needs to have all kinds of articles. Just try to have a lot of variety in what you are reading so that you can pick up a lot of vocabulary. And remember that you have to use this vocab journal. Very, very important. And the minimum targets now. So the minimum targets, you should have at least 5 new words per day. Try to target at least 5, because that's the bare minimum. If you are weak in English, try to go for 10 or 15 new words per day. The stronger your vocabulary gets, the easier it is to express yourself in English, because you'll be knowing a lot of words, right? So that's the key tenet that you have to understand. Now, another very interesting thing that nobody talks about and which is very important for your English preparation is to think in English. Now, why is this so very important? This is important because the grammar that I talked to you about. So vocab is one part, right? Grammar is another part. So there are a lot of formulas, there are a lot of things that you can read for grammar, and there are ample channels on YouTube covering those things. But I believe that if you do not think in English, then you cannot understand those grammar things by just memorizing them. So memorization is not going to help you by actually becoming a master of grammar. The only way to master grammar is to think in English. You have to dream in English. If you can do that, That's something that you can additionally do. Now, what's the best way to approach this? You have to start from what you love. So if you are somebody who loves cooking, say, I'm sure that you are watching Nisha Madhulika. Stop that, don't watch her. Okay, I'm kidding. She's a great channel. She does share great recipes. But remember that if you are watching in Hindi, if you are watching in the regional languages, it's not helping you develop your brain, right? So if you are somebody who loves cooking, for example, go and watch Gordon Ramsay. Go and watch MasterChef channels. So they will be talking in English. They have some dramatizations as well. So you'll enjoy that. You will be excited to learn while just watching something that you love. So if you are somebody who is fascinated with cricket, for example, go and watch cricket.com.au. So there they are actually talking about so many different milestones, and you will see something which you love while also learning. And you can also go and take a look at podcasts. So for example, if you love cricket, you can check out the Golden Ducks podcast. They have some good channels where they are talking about cricket. And coming to podcasts are one of my favorite things. So I am a big fan of Joe Rogan Experience, JRE. Now you can go take a look at his channel, but it will be deleted by the end of the year, so try and find out some other channels as well. Also the BBC podcast, that is also a source of really good English. So try and challenge your brain by listening to these podcasts. You can listen to them while you are just lying down, you are resting, maybe you are doing some other work, so you are doing some light exercise, or you are doing cooking or something. You can just listen to those things and it will help you to learn while you are doing some other activities as well. So that's why I love podcasts, to think in English. And also the daydreaming practice. So this is something, now we are getting into Romeo Juliet territory. So of course, if you are daydreaming about somebody that you want to be with, I won't discourage you. That's something that everybody does. But anyhow, if you are doing that, try to think about him or her in English. Just think in English as much as possible. So frame your everyday life with English. So how you can do this is, if you are just staring out of the window, just see the scenery outside and try to tell yourself in English what is going on there. You can say that the person is walking and he is feeding his dog, and the wind is blowing and the various trees leaves are glowing in the sunshine. So these are the kinds of things you can just say blatantly, whatever you want, whatever comes to mind. Don't think about grammar, don't think about proper sense, just daydream. Just say whatever you are looking at in English, and this is actually a pretty strong trick. Now the whole basis of thinking in English, it will actually help you to increase your speed in English, because you are not translating from your local language to English, you are directly thinking in English. So that is the main objective, that your brain can default to English and it does not need to translate. So you can also do this by movies or TV shows. So my advice would be to go to IMDb, go to the top 100 movies or the top 100 TV shows, just see the list and you can go start watching them. They will entertain you and you will also learn English by watching those and by understanding how native speakers are speaking it. Coming to the final thing, you have to do an end of day exercise. So what is this? At the end of the day, just before you go to sleep, take 10 minutes of your time and tell yourself mentally, or you can just say this in front of a mirror, that what has happened to you from the day. So I woke up, I did this, I studied these things, then I went to play with my brother or sister, then I had this great delicious food, etc, etc. So you get the drift. So you will be recapping your entire day in 10 minutes in this small exercise in English. Try to say it if possible, or you can do it mentally as well. Once you have done that, when you go to sleep, your brain processes it and you can become very good in English, because you have recapped your entire day in English. So this is also a trick that you can use and it will help you a lot. And now coming to the reading comprehension. So the reading comprehension is something that is very important, and every single examination will be having reading comprehension, and so I decided to include it in this video itself. So RCs, when you are doing, now first thing, remember, you have to read the question first. So questions are the key. So I will be showing you an RC very soon, so you will understand how you can actually go through that. And you also have the stop method. Now the stop method I have talked a lot about in my other various videos and I have explained it a bit, but today I am going to take you through how you can break down and you can actually use this stop method to your advantage just a little bit later. And the next thing is the best way to practice them. So mock tests are the best things that you can use to practice the reading comprehensions. And speaking of mock tests, Guidely has launched an express video course with over 1200 mock tests, hundreds of videos, live classes, PDFs, and a secret Telegram group where you can clear all your doubts, and the best faculty in India teaching this course, and at just rupees 1499 you get a lifetime validity. And the best thing, if you get selected in any exam, you get a full refund. Join now and get an additional 10% discount by using the promo code SHUPRIYO.
So what's the next thing that you need to know? Reading speed is paramount. So you need to improve your reading speed. It is a crucial aspect of your preparation. Now that thinking in English thing that I just told you, that will help you to improve your reading speed because you can collect that information much faster. And there is also another thing that you can do, like speed reading. So if you actually go to YouTube, you can find a lot of speed reading videos. Now 99% of those are totally useless, and they will tell you how you can just do tunnel vision. You can just eliminate the sides of passages, and you can read the middle word, and you can improve your speed. But I would advise you, don't go for that. I will be showing you in the exercise just now a little different way how you can improve your reading speed. So I'll just teach you a method that actually works in the passage. So let's get to the passage and we can see how we can actually tackle reading comprehensions. Okay, so let us take a look at an actual passage. I think because if we see from a passage, we can easily understand how to actually solve the reading comprehension. So the first thing I want you to understand is that you have to follow active reading. So active reading, it means that when you are reading something, you are comprehending at the same time. As I told you, the first thing that you have to do is you have to find out the questions. You have to read the questions first. The first question, it asks the primary purpose of the passage. Now, a question like this, it might not give you a lot of information, but the options give you a lot of information. So see, there are economic indicators mentioned, there is an economist mentioned, economic change, then you also have economic devices, economic factors. So this question, it tells me that this passage, it actually deals with economics, right? It deals with economic factors, indicators, etc. So that's enough for me to understand. So try and think what I am doing when I am reading the question. I am actually trying to gain an insight into the passage that is there. Then the next question, the information in the passage suggests which of the following would be most strongly indicating an imminent change in the business cycle. So imminent change in the business cycle. So in the passage, there must be something that actually allows us to understand how the changes are actually happening, how we can predict things. So you can see the options as well: employment rate, new homes, automobiles, manufacturing, appliances, bankruptcies, etc. So you don't need to read in detail. You have to just see the overview of the question, and it actually allows you to understand this passage in a much more deeper manner. Let's go to the next question. So according to the passage, the main purpose of the economic indicators is which of the following? Now this is a very big hint. This means that the passage, it has a lot of things about economic indicators, right? So there are a lot of options. You do not need to read the options, but the important thing is the economic indicators, which we found out from this option, from this question. Now let us move to number 4. The passage suggests that lagging indicators would be least helpful in determining which of the following. So lagging indicators, right? Okay, so if we know a little bit of economics, we know leading indicator, lagging indicator, those kinds of things. So this passage, it deals a lot with economic indicators. So a lot of the things we already gleaned by just reading the questions first. So now let us jump to the passage. And what did I tell you? I told you that you have to read the first line of the each paragraph. So let's start with that. So the first line starts over here and it ends over here, right? So let's read this part. American economists continually attempt to gauge the health of the economy, both for the gain of the private sector as well as for the global standing of the United States. Now, when you are reading like this, sometimes it becomes a very easy thing to do to actually read the last line of the passage as well. So sometimes I will be reading the last line along with the first line. That actually gives me a very great idea of what the passage is about. So economists can predict the direction of the economy by monitoring these indicators. Okay, so direction of the economy. I got a lot of ideas just by reading these two things. So the direction of the economy by monitoring these indicators. All right, I now understand that various economic indicators are going to be discussed in this passage. And another trick that I can tell you is that if you are not so comfortable in thinking in English, you can actually translate transform these things into your regional language. And think about this. So when you have read this line, American economists, this one, so if you want to translate it, so for example, your native language is Hindi, so you can think of it like this. अच्छा, तो अमेरिकन इकोनॉमिस्ट, अच्छा ये उनको गेन चाहिए प्राइवेट सेक्टर का, तो और ग्लोबल स्टैंडिंग ऑफ द यूएस उसके बारे में भी इधर बात हो रही है. अच्छा, और क्या बात हो रही है? ओके, प्रेडिक्ट कर रहे हैं डायरेक्शन ऑफ द इकोनॉमी कि कहाँ पे इकोनॉमी जाएगी फ्यूचर में, और ये मॉनिटर कर रहे हैं कुछ इंडिकेटर्स को. सो दिस इज द काइंड ऑफ थिंग if you do, if you think in Hindi or if you think in your local language, then it becomes a lot easier for you to interpret this passage and you can get to the answer much faster. Okay, and just reading the first line over here. So coincident indicators such as manufacturing and employment rates are the best gauge of the current state of the economy. So if you read a little bit into these things, so you can easily answer the first question. So the first question, it was the primary purpose of the passage is to compare the utility of the various economic indicators. This is the main thing, the main idea that we are getting from this passage. So you do not need to even read the entire passage. Of course you will be reading the entire thing, but once you read a little bit, you can even then you can understand that okay, this is what they are talking about. So this is what I am talking about when I am telling you to read the passage first, so in a fast reading kind of a way. So the fast reading kind of way that I told you, like you can go for the various tricks on YouTube about fast reading, but I think this is the best fast reading method that you can get, that you read the first line of each paragraph. Okay, now this paragraph, the last line, economists must look to other indicators for that. So okay, now they are saying that there will be other indicators as well. Okay, let's go to the next paragraph. So the next paragraph, what is it saying? The indicators which are the greatest predictive power are leading indicators such as mortgage applications and profit margins. Okay, I see. So this means they are now analyzing various indicators. I see. Okay, but these indicators can be helpful in confirming the assessments of the economists. Okay, so now they are actually just comparing different indicators. I see. So this is where they are heading. And the final paragraph, determining which elements of the economy fall into which category of indicator requires analysis of copious data and an understanding of the factors that propel the economy. Okay, so we need to understand all of these things to determine which element of the economy will be in which indicator. Fine. Then finally this thing we can read, establishing a solid framework for understanding behavior of these indicators helps economists to avoid miscalculations and to guide the country through periods of slow or negative economic growth. Okay, so finally we have now got a very, very deep idea about the passage and exactly what they are trying to tell us. So this will actually help you a lot, because now see what happens when you are doing it like this. Your brain, it actually gets a very, very deep idea about the passage. This is the type of fast reading that actually works. Now what we do? Now we use the stop method and we have to analyze each and every paragraph. Fine. So we have already read the first line. Okay, different elements of the economy react differently to the changes in prosperity. Fine. Some elements rise and fall as the economy waxes and wanes. Okay, so as the economy goes up and goes down, some elements will be rising and falling. These are known as coincident indicators. Fine. Now we have a definition of coincident indicators. Other elements are known as leading indicators. Okay, another indicator they have told, and usually show a downturn before the economy does. Okay, so this means that this indicator is a kind of a predictor. It's telling fortune. So it's a fortune teller, right? A third group of elements are known as lagging indicators and lose vigor only after the economy has already begun to slow. Fine, we get lagging indicators now. Economists can predict the direction of the economy by monitoring these indicators. Okay, so if we take a stop method, S-T-O-P, if you take a stop method, first thing, scope of the passage. What is the scope over here that we have read? American economists and how they are trying to gauge the health of the economy, and there are various indicators that are being introduced to us. So that's the scope, right? The scope of this entire passage is just this, that they are just discussing the indicators, etc., etc. Then the tone of the passage. So when you go to the tone, you have to find out whether this is an analytical kind of a passage, whether it is just describing something, whether it is argumentative, whether there is a bias by the author. So there there is none of that. This is just a normal explanatory kind of a tone. So the author is just explaining few things. There's no bias involved over here. He is just stating what? He is stating facts. So the tone, it is just explanatory, normal tone. There is no bias inherently. Then you go to the organization. So this is very, very important. This O. Organization means that you are trying to understand the entire paragraph. What is it talking about? The basic things. You are breaking it down. So the basic things, it's just indicators, right? So the elements of the economy, that is what is being talked about. Coincident indicators, leading indicators, lagging indicators. So that is how the information is organized in this passage. So when you talk about organization, try to think of bullet points. Okay, so in this kind of a paragraph, it's very difficult to get the information. But if you think about bullet points, you can even write down these things on the rough sheet that has been provided to you. In the rough sheet, just write down these indicators. So if you write down just write down one, and then write down these three things. So this means that paragraph 1, it deals with these three things. It will allow you to grasp the thing in a much better manner. Then what's the purpose? The purpose of this is just to introduce the indicators, and just the author is introducing something. So there's no purpose, hidden purpose anywhere in this paragraph. So try to understand why I am telling you all of these things. It's taking a bit long, but I am trying to help you to analyze. How are you going to analyze an RC? A reading comprehension is not something that you can just steamroll through. You have to understand the basic tenets. Then let's go to the next paragraph. So coincident indicators such as manufacturing and employment rates as the best gauge of the current state of the economy. Okay, so these are the best gauge. Okay, a continued shift in these indicators allows economists to determine whether the economy itself is in the process of upturn or a downturn. Okay, so these indicators, it allows us to understand whether we are in a recession or we are just booming. Okay, these indicators coincide with shifts in the economy because they are dependent on sustained prosperity. But since coincident indicators reflect only the current state of the economy, they are not especially useful in predicting how the economy will perform in the near future. Economists must look to other indicators for that. Fine, this is great. So STOP, again, stop method. So scope, what is the scope of this entire passage that we just read? So it's coincident indicators, right? Everything that is being talked about over here, it's about coincident indicators, how they are helping, what are the things that it actually predicts, etc, etc. So it is coincident indicators. Okay, what's the tone? Again, there is no change in the tone, there is no bias, there is nothing. It's just a normal tone. The author is explaining this fact. So it's facts being talked about. What is the organization? Organization is very important. So coincident indicators, what are they good at? They can reflect current state of the economy. They cannot reflect the future state of the economy. So that's the entire crux of the information being given to you. So these are the kinds of small keywords that you can pick and you can just write down in your rough sheet. Okay, now going to the purpose. So what's the purpose of this entire thing? They are just telling us coincident indicators. Okay, nothing else, just one of the indicators the author is explaining over here. So fine, that's great. It's very, very nice. Okay, let's go to the third one now. So the indicators with the greatest predictive power are leading indicators. Okay, now we come to another new indicator such as mortgage applications and profit margins. Fine, when these indicators rise or fall, economists can often foretell similar changes in the country's economic health. Fine, these indicators do not cause changes in the economy, rather they often signal changes in economic behavior that leads to shifts in the economic cycle. By contrast, the third type of indicator, lagging indicators, is useless as a harbinger of change, but these indicators can be helpful in confirming the assessments of economists. Okay, very, very good. Again, STOP, stop method. So scope, what's the scope of this? There are two indicators being talked about. See, there is also one is the your leading indicators. This is the first indicator that's being talked about. Second is the lagging indicator. So the two different indicators, the scope involves those two indicators. What's the tone? Again, no change in the tone, same tone. They are explaining the thing. What's the organization? They are actually telling that which are the important indicators that will indicate the rise or fall of certain things, and the greatest predictive power also they are actually telling over here. Then they are actually telling that the third type of indicator, lagging indicator, what can it do? So the organization over here is just these indicators, what can they do, how can they help you to assess the economy, and how can they help the economists. Finally, the purpose is just to explain these two other indicators. There is no other purpose over here. So okay, now we understood this paragraph. Let's move to the final paragraph. Finally, what they are saying, determining which elements of the economy fall into which category of indicator requires analysis of copious data and understanding of the facts that propel the economy. Okay, lot of things are said over here, but which elements of the economy fall into which category of indicator? Aha, so they want us to understand which indicator to use when. Okay, got it. One must determine which events surrounding a turn in the business cycle actually contributed to the change. Establishing a solid framework for understanding behavior of these indicators helps economists to avoid miscalculations and to guide the country through periods of slow or negative economic growth. Again, let's apply the stop method. So what's the scope over here? The scope over here is just to understand which category of indicator falls where, and also the scope is concluding this entire thing. These indicators, they can guide the country through periods of slow or negative economic growth, and they can avoid miscalculations. So that's the scope. And then the tone, again the tone, nothing changes with the tone. The same tone is being over here as well. Okay, organization. So here we are just getting to know whether which kind of indicator we can use. It will be determined by a lot of data, and also how we can avoid miscalculations, and we can go ahead through the periods of slow or negative economic growth by establishing a solid framework. So that's the organization. And finally, the purpose is just to conclude this entire thing, this entire explanation that the author has given us, and to actually tell us which category of indicator we must be using when. So okay, we finally get through the entire passage when we understand now very well what is the kind of thing that we need. So the first question, it actually asks us the primary purpose of the passage. So let's see the options. Compare the utility of various economic indicators. Okay, this seems like a good option. Explain the process by which economists draw conclusions about key factors of economic change. Okay, are they talking about factors of economic change? No, they do not have any conclusions being drawn about any factors of the economic change. So this is not the right answer. Present a conceptual framework used by economists to prescribe economic goals. No, economists are not prescribing any economic goals over here. So this is not correct. Trace the development of a set of economic devices. No economic devices are being talked about. Argue for the continued evaluation of various economic factors affecting the business cycle. No. So the best answer, it is the first answer. Compare the utility of various economic indicators. So try and understand. See, the answer of this question, it could even be acquired by just a skimming of the passage. So some questions will be very easy. Okay, let's go to the next question. The information in the passage suggests which of the following would be most strongly indicating an imminent change in the business cycle. Imminent change. Okay, so we have read about this imminent change. So what are the imminent changes? See, where is this question taken from? Always have this idea that they are picking the question from a part of the passage. If you can identify the correct part, then you've got the answer. See, indicators with the greatest predictive power are leading indicators such as mortgage applications and profit margins. This is our answer. This is where our answer lies. So either mortgage applications or the profit margins, these have the greatest predictive power. They can tell the future the best. So mortgage and profit. Remember these two things. Now let's go to the question. So a decrease in the employment rate. No, there is nothing of employment rate. We are looking for mortgage and we are looking for profit. Decrease in the number of new homes built per month. Okay, this is somewhat of interesting option, so we'll keep this. An increase in the number of new automobiles produced each month. No, automobile has never been talked about. An increase in the difference between manufacturing costs and retail revenues for large home appliances. Okay, this is quite interesting. Difference. Okay, manufacturing cost and retail revenues. Difference means profits, right? Okay, so this is talking about profit. So see, it's actually disguised, but it is talking about profits. Then a decrease in the number of corporate bankruptcies per month. No, corporate bankruptcies are not being talked about. So what can be the answer? A decrease in the number of new homes built per month. Fine, homes. Okay, homes are related with mortgage. But remember, is a home always related to a mortgage? You can also have a down payment for a house, right? So you do not need to think about mortgage at that point of time. So mortgage is not tied to this. So this cannot be our answer. The answer has to be this, because the difference means profits, and what we wanted to know mortgages and profits. So this is our answer for question number 2. Okay, let us move now to question number 3. So what is question number 3 telling us? According to the passage, the main purpose of economic indicators is which of the following? So main purpose, where can we get this answer? This answer we can get from the last line of the entire thing. Establishing a solid framework for understanding behavior of these indicators help economists to avoid miscalculations and to guide the country through periods of slow or negative economic growth. Fine, I understand now. We have to go to the options now. Okay, according to the passage, main purpose of economic indicators is to facilitate analysis necessary to maintain forward economic momentum. Okay, this looks like a very interesting answer. To allow investors time their investments in sync with economic cycles. No, investment timing has never been discussed. To foster healthy economic competition among various commercial sectors. No, there is no talk of competition over there. To bring to light several key factors in economic downturns. Okay, this is also a very interesting choice. To promote widespread understanding of economic principles. No, there is no widespread understanding of economic principles. Okay, so we are left with actually two options: facilitate analysis necessary to maintain forward economic momentum and bring to light several key factors in economic downturns. But remember, we are also talking about leading indicators, lagging indicators, coincident indicators. So all kinds of things we are talking about, not only downturns. This is only a part of what is the main purpose. So just read the last line once more time. To avoid miscalculations and guide the country through periods of slow or negative economic growth. So you have to understand the economists and help miscalculations. So the best answer that we can find, it is this one: to facilitate the analysis necessary to maintain forward economic momentum. So that is the one that makes the most sense, and that is the answer of question number 3. Let us move to question number 4. The passage suggests that lagging indicators would be least helpful in determining which of the following. So this is very important. So where has this been picked up from? This one. The third type of indicator, lagging indicators, is useless as a harbinger of change. This means that it cannot predict the future, but these indicators can be helpful in confirming the assessments of economists. Now remember, what is the question asking you? There is a googly, so be careful. Would be least helpful. So which of these things the lagging indicators cannot predict? This is not can predict. Cannot predict is being asked. So always read the question and see these googlies. This is the googly over here. Least helpful. Fine. So let's see the options. Whether predictions based on the behavior of the mortgage market were accurate. Okay. So can the lagging indicators tell us whether predictions were accurate? Yes, they can easily tell us, because lagging indicators, they only tell us whether the assessments were true or not. So this is something that the lagging indicator can tell us. So this cannot be the answer. Next, whether companies ought to cut costs in order to avoid short-term losses. Ought to cut costs. So this is a future kind of a thing. So can it help us to predict the future? No, lagging indicators never help us to predict the future. So this can be an option. Okay, whether recent trends in the employment rate were consistent with the overall economic picture. See, where is being asked. So this means whether it is actually consistent or not, whether we can predict it later on. Yes, the lagging indicator can help us to predict it. So this cannot be our answer. Whether financial analysts are correct in their assessment of recent economic developments. Yes, lagging indicators can tell us this, because later on they are checking and they can of course go ahead and see whether it was correct or not. So this cannot be our answer. Whether the government was justified in taking action to boost the economy. Okay, so this is also something that can be confirming the assessments. So no, this is also something that lagging indicators can help us to actually determine. So only option that remains, whether companies ought to cut costs in order to avoid short-term losses. So this is a future thing. It cannot be said, and this is the answer for question number 4. I hope that this analysis actually helped you understand how you can think about reading comprehensions and you can solve them algorithmically and analytically. Let's move back. So the thing that you need to remember next is you do not get stuck. So if there is any hard word, if there is something that you do not understand, do not get stuck when you are going through with your reading comprehension. Just go ahead and read it entirely, and if you have something that you do not understand, you can later on fill it. So that's how you will maximize your RC attempts, and you have to measure and improve. Just try and measure how long it's taking for you to read a passage. If you can do it within 4 to 5 minutes, then it's going to be very, very beneficial to you. But if you are really committed to it, you can even achieve a 3 to 4 minute mark. So try, and remember that reading does not only mean that you are reading all the words, you have to comprehend as well. So when I see this reading speed, it is not something that exists in a vacuum. The comprehension also is attached to it. So read fast, but read with comprehension, and that is how we can actually improve in English. So in the future sessions, I'll be talking about fill in the blanks and all the other things as well. So if you want to see more videos on English, please let me know in the comments down below. And if you like this video, please like it and please share it with your friends. And I hope that you learned something from this video and that it was beneficial to you. If you want to see more of this, please subscribe to my channel and click on the bell icon so that you, my friend, do not miss any future update. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.